Welcome and thanks for stopping by. Whether you're new to the channel or have been here before, if you enjoy this video and would like to help me produce more content, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Today we're going to be taking a look at some straps from these guys, Crown Buckle. If you're unfamiliar with Crown Buckle, they're a well-known dealer of watch straps and accessories. They of course sell all of your traditional options such as NATOs and Perlons, but the one that really intrigued me is what we have inside of this envelope, and that is their Chevron straps. Before we dive into this, I do want to be very upfront with you in that Crown Buckle did send me these straps in for a review. This was a no strings attached review. All they asked for is that I share my honest feedback after I had the opportunity to check them out. So with that, let's go ahead and dive in. First, you can see as far as the packaging, it does come in a very simple type of packaging. It actually looks like a modified or customized bank envelope here. While some might like fancier packaging, personally I like the fact that this is just a nice eco-friendly recyclable paper. Ultimately there's either going to go into the garbage or go into a box for most people anyways. Inside you can see that we have the straps. While I have had these ones open, I tried to restore them back to the original condition that they would come to you in. So you can see they do come with the buckles and the keepers protected. They come wrapped in small pieces of plastic here. And additionally, inside of the packaging, there's some instructions here as to how to use them. You can find this information on their website, and they do have not only the website contact there if you want to reach out to them, but additionally, they have a variety of helpful guides on their site also. And of course, as we get into this video, we'll show you more detail on how these straps actually work. One of the things that really intrigued me about these straps is the concept. So they advertise these as a game changer, which of course is a very bold statement. So I wanted to see what was it about them that made them so unique, and what was it that made them so confident as to call them a game changer, and did it really live up to the hype? So getting into the straps, the overarching concept with these particular ones is they refer to them as basically being a hybrid between a NATO and a Perlon, which, as I already mentioned, they sell both NATOs and Perlons. So clearly there is a market for each of the different offerings. But I wasn't entirely sure from just the description on the site what it was that made them feel that this was a hybrid between a NATO and a Perlon. So some of the things, and we'll get into more details as we get into this, but some of the things about this particular strap is you can see that it has 5 adjustment holes here, and let's get that in close. Very clean holes, and this is a nylon material, and we'll get into more of those details as well. But these holes, they appear to be well kept. Nice, clean. While they don't have any stitching around them, you can see in there, these are, I believe they say ultrasonically cut, so it appears that it actually seals the edge of those. And in the little bit of wear that I've had with these to get a good feel for them, to give you guys an accurate review, I can't tell anything in terms of any wear on the edges, anything in terms of folds, the strap holes, etc. So they seem to be holding up very well from initial use. So they have the holes that would remind you of a NATO. So of course, now you're probably thinking, so you're going to have excess strap, you're going to fold over and have all those kind of things. Where's the Perlon part come into play? You can see this doesn't appear to have a traditional weave like you would expect from most Perlons. And that's one of the things that is actually so unique about this is a single pass nylon strap. It is a custom diagonal weave pattern, and what they were going for is they wanted to have a more subtle weave to it. So the Perlon part that comes into play, as you'll see in the way that you adjust here, is this has a finite number of holes, so you only have 5 holes, but you have effectively infinite micro adjustments. So you can bring this in and you will actually be able to have it to where you get it customized exactly to your wrist, and then as your wrists change throughout the day, if you're in heat and cold and humidity, you can use the adjustment holes through there. So it does give you kind of the best of both worlds of the NATO in terms of having still the single pass protection. So we'll look at those things with keeping it in your spring bars, but additionally you do get the infinite adjustability of a Perlon strap. So we already talked about some of this pattern here, and I have to say, personally, I have never really liked Perlon straps in terms of the aesthetic of looking at the very bold weave pattern. And similarly, I've never really been a big fan of NATO straps because I don't like having the excess strap that you have to tuck over and fold and all of those kind of things. So this strap, that was one of the things that interested me about it. Let's go ahead and pop these off, and we can actually take a look at some more of the details here. All right, so we already talked about the overarching concept of how these work, and you can see this one I have already done some adjustments to. So what you can see here is this actually slides down. So here it is in closer to stock configuration in the longer length. What you do is it's very simplistic. You actually just take and you feed this through. So you just run it through these ladder style buckles, and then that just comes down through there, and that just feeds through. And what you're able to do, it's a lot easier on camera, I assure you, or off of camera rather. What that does is that shortens the effective length there. So now you can take this and you can use the adjustment holes and have it sized directly to your wrist. So going into some more about the strap details itself, you might have noticed that the buckles on these two are very different in appearance. We have one here that's black, and we have one here that is their brushed steel. Both of these are 316L stainless steel, which is very common of your stainless steel watches, so it's a nice high quality material. This one is offered in their brushed finish, and on the side of the brushed, you can see it does have a mirror polish on the edges. They do offer a third buckle finish, which is polished, and as a contrast for that, it has brushed on the sides. So really neat to have options there depending on your watch, your taste, etc. I also wanted to go ahead and get one of the black PVD options so you could see more of a matte. And as we'll show here on the video, one of the things I was looking for is I wanted to see how this would go since they don't offer any kind of bronze option. They have the 2 stainless steel, and then they have the 3rd stainless steel but with a PVD coating. I wanted to see how this would work with bronze and stainless. I'm not a huge fan of having stainless straps on bronze watches, and I've been pleased with how this blends and transitions. Looking at the actual strap construction itself, we've looked at the weave and some of those fine details. You can see here it's extremely thin, but it's still very stable, very sturdy and strong with its nylon construction. I measured this on my calipers at roughly 1¼ millimeters. Overall length in the maximum position, so with this fully outstretched as long as it would possibly go, I measured from here on the inside of the buckle where the strap would sit, clear out to the end of the strap length, and that comes in at roughly 266 millimeters. Then to give you a more usable dimension from that, I took the same methodology and took that to the first hole. That would give you roughly 233 millimeters. While I have 6.5 millimeter wrist, I could actually completely slip that over my hand. So I seriously doubt that there's going to be anyone with too large of a wrist to be able to pull this off. Similarly, since they don't have specs as far as length on their website, and I was kind of perplexed about that if you consider traditional strap options where you need to know whether it's going to fit you or not. With this, because of the nature of how it works, you're only basically limited by the nature of the lugs on your watch head. So you can effectively take this down to as small as you need. So you really have basically as small as anyone can need to go for wrist size, you're covered, and virtually as large as you need to go, you're covered as well within a reasonable length. These two colors here, these were two that interested me. I was looking for nice versatile straps. These ones that we're looking at here, and I have 2 sizes. This one is the 22 millimeter, and this is the 20 millimeter, and they do have a variety of sizes that are available, as well as a whole host of color options that are available for you. These two are what they describe as being somewhat of like a tweed pattern. To me, I think very much a professor wearing his tweed blazer whenever I hear tweed. But I got to tell you, in person, I put these on more traditional, more classic dressy watches. I put these on more casual, sporty or dive watches, and I think it looks good with pretty much everything. It's a very versatile pattern and color. And these two are, as they identify on their website, very similar in coloration. But you can see some differences here. So let's look at the end stitching, and that's one of the things in terms of overall construction. It appears to be very nicely stitched for that overall finishing. Nice touch to keep that from having any kind of fray. But in terms of the coloration for this, you can see this 22 millimeter, which is what they refer to as their Saxony colorway, and then this one is what they refer to as their Harris colorway. This one is effectively what they describe as a mix of gray on gray, and this one is gray mixed with tan. So it is a subtle difference, but it is definitely a noticeable difference, and you'll see that on the watch heads as well. I wasn't sure if the tan threads would go well with the bronze because I ordinarily don't like a khaki color with bronze, whereas I do like a gray with bronze. So to me, this color combination just made sense. But as it turns out, in person, I think either of these would work well across pretty much any dial combination and colors. I put this on white dials, blue dials, black dials, you name it. I had it for each of these two straps to check them out, and I thought they were exceptionally versatile, so I was very pleased with that. So next, let's go ahead and put these on watches and see them. But first, as I have in the header here, and one of the things that I'm sure many of you are excited to hear about, I have a giveaway planned as well. As I mentioned in my last video, I recently passed the milestone, which was a huge milestone for me, of 100 subscribers. Very excited to have that happen, and ultimately, I really stopped and reflected on what this channel has been in the short amount of time that I've started this. This has been a dream that I've had for quite some time, and with the help of all of you, this is really coming to fruition, and I'm starting to see some growth and some momentum with this. And I just wanted to stop and say thank you. I want to thank you so much for helping me to make this channel happen, for all of your activity in the comments, for hitting that like button, that subscribe button, everything that you've done to support me so far. I really appreciate it. And with that, I actually want to give a chevron strap to you as well. So what I'm planning on doing here is I am not, because I want this to be an actual giveaway and a thank you here, and I'm not trying to have any strings attached to it. While I do appreciate if you hit that like and subscribe button, I'm not actually requiring that. In order to enter this giveaway, all you need to do is go to the comment section, type "I'm in," and then after that, tell me what watch that you'd like to put one of these straps on. I'm going to pick the winner. I'm going to let this contest run through until September 30th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you'll have the full day clear through September 30th, so we can give as many people as possible the opportunity to enter into this. And at that time, I will cut it off. I will run a random poll to see who the winner is for that, and I will produce a video to announce to everyone who the winner was. So with that, let's go ahead and look at these on the watch. If you've ever installed a NATO or Perlon strap, you're probably already familiar with how to go about installing these ones. The process is very similar. So all you do is you install your spring bars just straight onto the watch. Then from there, you just take the strap and just flip it just like it would be. And you want the buckle at the 12 o'clock position, so you just start feeding it through. Slide that around to where you want it to be. Slide it down under and up through the other. And now that's trapped, you can see, in with those spring bars. So as I mentioned at the start of the video, this, just like a NATO strap, does provide you protection. If one of these spring bars should happen to fail, it will still be retained by the other. With most watch straps, whether it be a two-piece watch strap or if it did not have this that actually went underneath the watch head, it would not be protected. So if one of the spring bars were to break, it would just then fall off of your wrist. So that is one of the nice features with that. As you can see here, with this installed, and let's go ahead and check it out on wrist. So going through, just like I said earlier, all you do is you just slide it just like any other two-piece strap or otherwise. You just slide that through, traditional buckle style. So once you have that ladder engaged for actually adjusting the strap, then you just go down to traditional with the hole adjustment, slide through the keeper. This keeper for my smaller wrist isn't used at all, so I just take that and I just fold it down and out of the way. And there you have it. So that's installed on this Meteorite Zelos Swordfish in bronze. I think it looks really sharp, complements that dial well. Overall, just exceptionally comfortable. Really like this strap a lot. So let's go ahead and take a look at that 20 millimeter and look at that colorway. And this is on a Zelos Mako V3, and this is in the ice colorway. And it's the same exact thing, different hardware here, but otherwise same overarching process to that. So this is another one. This dial, especially with the orange accent and that bright blue, isn't the easiest one to match with things. This, I think, complements it exceptionally well. The tan, I really like how it lightens it up versus the gray. And we can look at that. While that works too, I definitely think this one pulls it off better. So let's look at some of the attributes of the strap itself. There are definitely a lot of things that I really like about this. We already talked about the thinness. With that thinness really comes, one of my biggest downsides, and one of the reasons why I'm not crazy about Perlon or NATO straps, is oftentimes they add a lot of thickness to the watch. But as you can see here, with this particular one, being so thin, it actually just barely comes down below the lugs. So on the wrist, you almost can't even tell that there's anything underneath. It's still, for me at least, even with having relatively skinny wrist, the lugs still sink down into the wrist, and it just hides that there's even a strap coming down under there. So in many respects, other than that it's coming up like this, it looks just like a two-piece strap. So that's excellent. We talked about the protection. That's something hugely beneficial to me. While I haven't ever had spring bars break, it's nice to have that added peace of mind. If it should happen, I'm going to be protected. Additionally, the finishes. I think these things are exceptionally attractive. One of the things that, as I already mentioned earlier, that I don't like about Perlons is the weave. NATOs oftentimes are too thick for my liking. I usually tend to gravitate towards canvas two-piece straps. This, to me, has a lot of the look of canvas. So while it has the water resistance, even more so than canvas with this nylon material, it still, for me, keeps that nice texture, keeps that variation, so it doesn't look like the elastics or some of the other materials that are out there that are a little too shiny or a little too uniform for me. So I like that a lot as well. In terms of comfort and adjustability that comes from the comfort that comes from the adjustability, because this is infinitely adjustable, you never have to worry about it being too loose, too tight. You can really get it customized to you, and I found that to be exceptionally comfortable overall. And then finally, just the quality. The quality, I think, is exceptional. These, you can tell, are well constructed, and just overall, just excellent strap offerings. Some of the things that I noticed that aren't necessarily huge downsides, but I did want to mention them. Out of the box, you will definitely find, and this is true, I think, of other nylon straps as well, they do feel kind of stiff. Even just from the limited time I've had, they're really softening up, becoming more supple, more pliable, and I think that's adding to the comfort. One of the other things with the same note that I did notice with the 20 millimeter, but not with the 22 millimeter, and I think that was just this particular one and just my sensitive wrist, it felt a little bit scratchy to me when I first put it on. As it went on throughout the day, it wasn't a big deal, and it did get to be more comfortable. So it's not something that I would let stop you, but it was something that I noticed with this. So I wanted to point that out. The other thing is the buckle thickness. When I first put this on, one of the things that I was struck with was with that ladder. You can see how thick that ladder starts right off the bat. So then, in turn, when you take and put this over it, you end up with kind of a hump for that. That was something that I thought was going to be an annoyance and get in the way and feel too bulky. The reality is the strap itself is so thin that that's not altogether that far off of where you would be with most straps anyways. So I never, wearing this in desk environment, wearing this in casual environment, never actually had that be a problem at all. So that turns out, for me, it was a non-issue, but it is something that you might notice when you first get it. So I would just encourage you, if you do pick one up, to give it some time and just to see how it fits for you, how it feels overall. The one thing that I would note as a suggestion to the company, that's something I think would be cool to do, is they sell the straps, but they do not include any spring bars with them. You can see on this 20 millimeter here, this just has traditional spring bars. On this 22, I happen to have some quick spring bars. And if you're not familiar with quick spring bars, they have a little knob on there, so you don't even need a spring bar tool. All you do is simply push that, slide it over, and you can pop those out. For me, I would love to see spring bars in general, but especially I would love to see some toolless release spring bars. So that way, if you want to pop these on and off, if you want to change between different straps, if you have other two-piece straps that have quick detached spring bars, it makes it a breeze to change out at the start of every day. So that is something that I think would be really cool for them to do for future offerings. Even if it adds $1 or $2 to the total cost, I think it'd be worth it, and I would like to see them do that change. So outside of that, I've got to say, overall, I wasn't really sure what to expect with these straps. It's something I've been curious about for a while. I've seen many positive reviews from people about these straps, saying that they really are exceptional. And in my experience, I can say I think they very much were excellent straps. I'm not necessarily going to say that they're a game changer in my book. I still like my two-piece straps as well, but I do definitely think this is an exceptional offering. And what I will say is I do think when it comes to having an option for people like me who don't prefer traditional NATOs or Perlon straps, I do think it's a game changer for those. So for anyone who has always liked the idea of having that protection but didn't want to add the bulk, didn't want to deal with some of the other things that come along with those straps, I think these are a perfect option, and I highly encourage you to pick one up. Thanks for watching.